Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people, welcome to the 97 Republic YouTube channel, where we react to news and live events of different sports. So I kindly ask that you hit the like button and the subscribe button, as that will really help this channel grow. And to ensure you don't skip a beat, click the notification bell as well. That way you can guarantee that you don't miss any of the action. Alright, so let's go. What is next for both Zhang Weili and Tatiana Suarez of the UFC 312? With regards to potential matchups, potential opponents, potential dates, when will we see both women inside of the octagon again? And I made a similar video regarding Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland, and if you haven't watched it, or if you want to revisit it, you can just click on that link and it will take you to the video. But similar to that video, I'm going to start off with the champion, start off with Zhang Weili, just because it feels like she has fewer potential opponents that would make sense than Tatiana has. And when looking at potential opponents for Zhang Weili, if we look inside of the strawweight division, Zhang's strawweight division, not a lot of matchups we haven't seen before. Zhang Weili has caused as much destruction inside of the strawweight division as the Eagles did inside of the Super Bowl. It is incredible what she's been able to accomplish inside of that division. And the problem is, when you have a division where the top three fighters in that division has differentiated themselves, and it is such a big discrepancy between them and the other 12 fighters in the division, it's difficult to see potential matchups. It's difficult for anyone to make a claim to be a number one contender apart from those three women. And those three women being Yan Xiaonan, Tatiana Suarez, and Zhang Weili. And the current strawweight rankings looks like this. So it is safe to say, it's safe to assume the fight that would make the most sense. And this started a week and a half ago when rumors started circling that Zhang Weili, if she ends up beating Tatiana Suarez, would like to move up in weight and fight the women's flyweight champion of the UFC, Valentina Shevchenko. And the reason why that is so appealing to UFC fans is simply due to the fact that you have arguably the best strawweight of all time taking on the best flyweight of all time, and basically deciding who is the best current women's fighter in the world right now. With regards to how diverse their skill set is, with regards to how good they are, wherever the fight takes place, it would be insane. It would have a lot of people's undivided attention and have people lock in to what would be probably one of the best technical fights we have seen in the sport for a very long time. Therefore, Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko makes the most sense. The only problem with this is the fact that Valentina might be Zhang's next opponent inside of the UFC, but Zhang will not be Valentina's next opponent inside of the UFC, seeing that Manion Ferro is basically the Tatiana Suarez of the women's flyweight division, and she will probably face Valentina next for the flyweight championship. That is the big problem. Seeing that if that happens, and it probably would happen, then Zhang would have to fight someone inside of her own division, and then basically after we had that, we would then basically have Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko. So looking at a potential matchup for Zhang Weili inside of the women's strawweight division, the only one that makes sense, the only one that a sane person could argue, it's not a rematch with Yan Xiaonan. It's not a rematch with Tatiana Suarez, just because of how dominant we saw Zhang being in that Tatiana Suarez fight. The only one that you could actually somewhat make a case for and not sound like you belong inside of an asylum is the Verna Jandiroba fight. Now, whenever hearing that name, do not think She's Brazilian. It doesn't sound like a Brazilian name. But Verna Yanderova has been the only woman that has been on a quite impressive winning streak. After losing, she lost to Mackenzie Dern, went on to win, and then lost to Amanda Ribas, and then went on to win 4 consecutive fights. So she's been on a 4-fight winning streak. Lost to the baddies of the division, but she bounced back, and now she's on a 4-fight winning streak, beating the likes of Amanda Lemos, who's currently either number 5 or number 6, don't remember. So she has a legitimate claim to be the number 1 contender. Now, not discrediting anything Verna has done, but we might see complete dominance once again. We might see Zhang Weili, the tyrant of the strawweight division, doing the exact same to someone who opposes her reign. But that would be the only one you can justifiably make inside of the strawweight division. Have Zhang Weili face Verna Yanderova in the strawweight division. Have Valentina face obviously Manion Firo inside of the flyweight division, and then basically winner. If the winner is Zhang Weili and if the winner is Valentina, then they face one another. However, obviously, if Verna ends up winning, she would not go for double champ status. And if Manion Firo beats Valentina, then Zhang Weili might still go up to 125 to face Manion Firo. So that is basically the potential opponents when looking at Zhang Weili's next matchup. And with regards to the date, it is safe to assume that Zhang Weili will fight probably in 5 months' time if she had to face Verna Yanderova. But if that isn't the case, right, if she decides that the next fight she is taking will be Valentina, probably see it in 9 months. Just because Valentina and Manion Firo hasn't been scheduled yet, and we've had schedules. The schedule go up until May, so safe to assume might happen in June or whatever. And then you'd basically take 5 months from then. So it's gonna be a long time before we potentially see Zhang Weili and Manion Firo. But that's basically the way forward when looking at Zhang Weili's potential matchups. Now, when looking at Tatiana Suarez's next fight and potential opponents, potential dates, don't know the severity of Tatiana's damage with regards to her knee, because it looked horrible. It looked devastating. A knee as deep, the cut on that knee as deep as the Mariana Trench looked off. Don't know how long it will probably take for that to recover. And having a history of knee problems, Tatiana's knees are as fragile right now as a relationship in varsity. So difficult to say whether it was that severe or basically it will just heal up. But the problem is when you have a wound like that, and especially when you have stitches, it makes it very difficult to train without re-aggravating the damage you suffered. So rolling on the mats, basically the only thing you can actually do is strike, but then obviously can't really take strikes, especially to that far. So might be some time before Tatiana is actually in shape to be able to train. But with regards to her matchup, the only matchup that makes sense for me personally, seeing that she's already beaten Jessica Andrade, who's number 6, and Amanda Lemos coming off of her loss against Verna, doesn't make sense either. The only one that makes sense is having Tatiana Suarez taking on Yan Xiaonan. That is the only fight to make inside of the strawweight division. Because as previously mentioned, the fact that Tatiana is on a different level compared to the rest, and then Zhang Weili is on another different level, it makes it extremely difficult to actually get an opponent for either Yan Xiaonan or Tatiana. So have them fight. And then the problem once again, the winner of that fight will probably go on to fight Zhang Weili again. Before we see, obviously we'll see Werner taking on Zhang Weili, which makes sense to me. I'm not saying that is a guarantee, but makes sense. And then basically have Yan Xiaonan taking on Tatiana, and then that winner takes on the champion. And in that time period, hopefully another contender would emerge, because that's basically what you're doing with a division like this, where you somewhat play for time. You somewhat want to see whether another contender emerges from the pack and solidifies himself as being a top five, a genuine top five, fighter inside of that division. Maybe Mackenzie Dern, maybe Amanda Ribas, seeing that both Mackenzie and Amanda has been able to beat Werner, but probably not as polished as Yanderova is at this point in time. That's basically the video. I could cut it right now. That is basically, it's very difficult to see anything else apart from that. And with regards to dates surrounding Tatiana, as I previously mentioned, the duration of the healing process with regards to the knee, I'd probably say we'd be able to see if Tatiana had to face Yan Xiaonan, probably be about 5 months, 6 months from now. The problem is, I do think Yan is gonna fight before then, and after Yan fights, either it be with Amanda Lemos. I don't think Yan would face Andrade again, but I think she'd face Amanda Lemos, or maybe even potentially face Mackenzie Dern. Don't know. But after that fight, then you could basically take another 4 months, depending on the damage Yan suffered, and add that to when Yan would face Tatiana, if they don't face, if Jan's next match isn't Tatiana. So might be a while. The strawweight division is without a doubt, and I want to say it's the worst division. It's not the worst division. It's just the division that has the most questions regarding potential world-class fighters, because it is a very small weight. If you see contenders at strawweight, they tend to move up to flyweight just because it is such a small division. I'm speaking about the actual frame of these women. It is very small, so difficult to see potential matchups, despite from the ones I've mentioned. But anything could happen, and the UFC could make anything happen. But stylistically, and with regards to healing period, time frames, activity inside of the octagon, very difficult to would not want to be the person that schedules fights inside the strawweight division, would 100% avoid the strawweight division if I worked inside of the UFC. I would much rather prefer any other division inside of the sport than the women's strawweight division, just because it's so difficult to have to make fights inside of that division. But anyway, that is my opinion with regards to Zhang Weili, with regards to Tatiana Suarez, potential matchups for both. Also, just want to speak about the fact that it was devastating seeing Tatiana lose. No discrediting Zhang Weili and not taking anything away from Zhang. To see someone go through so much adversity and have the very thing that they have worked for their entire life in their grasp, and seeing them lose it is devastating. But with that being said, safe to assume that if there is a woman out there who could go through the amount of adversity and still potentially make it to the top, it would either be Tatiana Suarez or Margaret Thatcher. But seeing in terms of fighting, Tatiana Suarez, no woman has gone through more adversity than she has with regards to the things she suffered outside of the UFC, and now this devastating loss. Would 100% bet my uncle that Tatiana Suarez will bounce back, and that she will see a title fight inside of the strawweight division in the near future, because she's been through adversity. She's had to overcome a lot of things, and this will just be another one of those things. Now, will she ever be able to beat Zhang Weili? You could possibly say maybe if she had a clone and both of them fought, but you know, anything is possible. Yeah, anything is possible inside of the UFC, like your Romero said. So that is basically my opinion and what I see next for both respective worlds. Let me know in the comment section. Do you think there's any other fight to make apart from the ones that I've mentioned? What fight would interest you the most? How much of your time would you sacrifice to watch the entire build-up for Zhang Weili versus Valentina Shevchenko? How much percentage of attention would you give to see that spectacle? Let me know in the comment section. I'll really appreciate it.